Good afternoon. Welcome. Great to see you. Some of you are coming in with your video, which is always fabulous. Thanks so much. Those of you who have to stay off screen, we totally get it. Wow, there's a lot of new names on here, which is at least to me, at least to me. So welcome. I hope everyone is staying safe and warm and mobile if you need to be mobile. I know this was quite the late winter storm, and I hope everyone and everyone's families members stayed safe. Your family, your friends, your congregations, and great to see everyone here. So it's 12:03, so we like to keep those who come on time rewarded. So we will get started. Again, thanks so much for coming on. This is a fabulous webinar. I've been super excited about the idea of this webinar for quite a while, and it is called Art, Activism, and Faith, Democracy in Action. And in addition to the three WIVEC and Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice members, and so many social justice and civic engagement warriors we have on the call. We have two wonderful artists, artists who I've gotten to know well, who I'm proud to call friends. So thanks so much, everyone, for being here. So as this is a WIVEC webinar, we do like to introduce a little bit of our organizations, both WIVEC and our parent organization, Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice. After that, we will have some artist presentations, and then we'll have time for some Q&A. So buckle in, and we hope we have a great webinar. Thanks so much for everyone coming in, and of course, thank you to our artists, Niki Johnson and Hassan Jeremy Stein. So a little introduction to WIVEC. WIVEC is the Wisconsin Interfaith Voter Engagement Campaign, and we work to engage the interfaith community in the democratic process. Our nonpartisan work can deepen understanding and strengthen ties among different faith communities, and I see that happen almost every single day. We increase engagement in the electoral process, both through our volunteers and through the voters themselves. And of course, this results in a greater awareness of the positive role that faith communities can play in the public square. And we know that there are times where the faith community comes under fire a little bit, and we are showing the way the faith community can be a positive impact on our democracy. Widespread voter engagement, we know, is needed to ensure that the elected leaders will pay attention to the needs of all their constituents, especially those who are least often listened to and who have the most at stake in the work of our legislatures. So that's a brief sort of mission statement of WIVEC. How we exercise this mission statement is through three areas of voter engagement. One is voter engagement, the next is voter education, and voter protection in no particular order. So with our voter engagement, we work to engage our vulnerable populations. These are low propensity, or as we like to say, high opportunity voters, student voters, and again, as an organization that works with interfaith communities and congregations, we really want to help reach out to congregations and let these congregations know how they can work with their most vulnerable populations, those who are in long-term care, those who are homebound, those who may be out of town but don't know how to access an absentee ballot. We really want the congregations to lean into our expertise and share it with their congregants. All right, Sherry, I'm sorry, but that cat is just amazing. So thanks for sharing your cat with us. I love it. I love it. Nikki, maybe some of your cats can join the show too. We also work in voter education, webinars such as this, speaking engagements. We have a weekly newsletter. It goes out almost every Tuesday afternoon. I am the editor, and some of you have heard this before. I'm a former English teacher, so these deadlines are very important to me. So it makes me very anxious when they doesn't go out by Tuesday afternoon. Our newsletter contains information not just about WIVEC, but about our statewide partners and even national partners if the webinars we think are of interest or importance to our membership. We work with all sorts of students, whether they're middle school, high school, university, faith communities, I still am hoping to get to an overnight summer camp perhaps and present over there. I'm actually just now working on creating some poll worker thank you kits with third graders. So hoping to get that going next week. And of course, we also work in the area of voter protection. We are a grassroots advocacy organization. We work to strengthen our democracy. We advocate for fair maps. We advocate for ballot boxes, making sure that everyone knows about in-person early voting and how they can best get their vote to the ballot box. And of course, we advocate against the overreach of any one of the branches of government. We rely heavily on the My Vote Wisconsin app, our website that gives everyone the information they need for voting for their local polling places and everything about how they can have agency in how they vote. And finally, we are very proud of the Poll Chaplain program, which was started in 2020 as a tester in Madison, and it has grown to, we're hoping to 100 poll clergy serving throughout the state on election day. We recruit, train, and organize these clergy from all denominations to be out there on election day, providing a safe pastoral presence at the polls. We are just getting started on a very small but necessary poll chaplain program for April 7th, specifically in the northwest portion of the state, out in Eau Claire. We are not just a Milwaukee or Madison organization. We are throughout the state. So any questions or any way that you want to become more active in WIVEC, we'll have all the links for you, not just on this in the chat, but all the links will be sent to you after the recording of the webinar. So please know this is recorded as well. So again, thank you so much for coming on. Before we get started with our two artists, we'd like to hear a little bit from our executive director, Matt Kendziera, who is a nonprofit leader and dynamic communicator. I can attest to that. With over 2 decades of experience, I don't know, he doesn't look a day over 25. With over 2 decades of experience in justice-related work, he served as a poll chaplain at Stanley Correctional Institute and has since worked with nonprofits fighting against poverty, human trafficking, and school violence, both on a local and national level. We are so lucky to have Matt join us. He joined, it'll be 2 years, right, Matt? In June.
Yeah, coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are so fortunate to have someone like Matt leading the ship. I'm so grateful for the work he does for all of us and for the support that he gives me, and also Jill, who I'll introduce in a little bit as well. And Matt, we always like to throw in a personal piece here. He's a lover of all things outdoors, including canoeing, kayaking, bicycling, and cross-country skiing. Unfortunately, Matt is in Arizona and is missing the late cross-country ski season here in Wisconsin. So, Matt, thanks so much for all that you do for WIVEC, for Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, and for the people of Wisconsin. And I'm going to pass it on to you.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today, and thank you, Rhonda. I mean, for those of us who do this work, the worst thing is to sit there and listen to somebody read your bio, right? It's a little bit much sometimes, Rhonda, but I appreciate you and appreciate all the work that you do. I didn't skip out of Wisconsin because I saw a snowstorm coming. I had to be down here for work, and then I saw the snowstorm coming, and I decided to stay a little longer. It's fine. I was born and raised in Wisconsin, so I've seen plenty of snowstorms, and we'll survive this one as well. We should note that Jill Olson is on the call, and she's in Green Bay, and she's probably the one with the most snow on this call. But we can, if you want to, indicate in the chat if you got more than what Jill did. I think Jill got what, 23 and a half inches or something like that in Green Bay. So if anybody wants to try to see if they can beat her for that record, good luck. Yeah, so I am really honored to do the work that I do, but just like Rhonda, I had a career life before I got into this space, and my career life started as a musician and a music educator. And so when Rhonda mentioned the idea of having this be a webinar that we do, I was very excited about it because music means the world to me, art means the world to me. it informs pretty much everything I do, and specifically in the space of activism. Now, I'm a parent. That's first and foremost. Well, first and foremost, I should say I'm a husband, and then secondly, I'm a parent to two wonderful children. I am fortunate enough also to be an empty nester. My kids are 20 and 22, but I remember when they were just itty bitty. I remember when they were so little, especially my oldest, Macy, who's now 22, and she's actually going to bring her own child into this world later this year. So I'm going to be a grandparent for the first time. But I remember in her life that she could dance before she could walk. She would climb up on a piece of furniture, and we'd always have music playing, usually jazz music, and she would just start dancing along to it before she could even walk on her own. And then I remember before she even could form words out of her mouth, she could sing the melody of the ABCs, because when we would change her diaper, we would sing the ABCs to her. So she didn't know A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but she could sing before she could talk. And then, of course, all children, before they can write a letter, can draw, or they can, color a picture. And so we can see that this piece of art is so much a foundation of who we are, and we see it in the earliest stages of life. But another thing that my wife Susie, we both met in the music department at the University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, and we've gotten the chance to play a lot of music and still do to this day. And one of the things that we love to do is we love to go to memory care spaces and meet with some of our favorite elderly folks who are struggling with dementia and Alzheimer's. And one of the beautiful things about working with that demographic is they may not remember what happened, a conversation that you had literally 2 minutes ago, or the snack that they were fed, right before we started singing. But if we play a song that they remember from when they were growing up, they can literally sing every lyric of the song. And so there's something that art and music can do at a deeper level that academia and a lot of other spaces can't even touch. And we're a faith-based organization, and art has such a deep connection in all of our faith traditions. And as Rhonda mentioned, I was a prison chaplain for almost a decade of my life. It was really my introduction into interfaith work. And the reason I decided to become a prison chaplain, one of the moments that helped me to make that decision, is I actually volunteered with a friend of mine to lead music at a worship service at a prison in Minnesota. And I'll never forget the moment when we stopped playing our instruments and we just all sang a chorus together with those men that were incarcerated there. And it was one of those moments that you can't put to words, but the emotion behind it you'll never forget, because it just sank in so deeply. And all I could do was cry, because it was so powerful that we were coming together across every boundary imaginable, all around a lyric of a song and all around an anthem of a song, to kind of connect us around our faith. And it was the moment when that was the moment when I decided I want to be a part of this on a greater level. And that was the first time I was ever in a prison setting. The second time I was ever in a prison setting was when I walked in the door for my next career path. And it was so powerful. And then if we look at really the theme of what we're talking about today, art and activism, it's really hard to disconnect the two. For me, I can't think of the fight against slavery without hearing these beautiful African spirituals like ringing in my ears. I can't think about fighting against a corrupt government without hearing refrains from the musical Les Miserables just going through my mind, because I'm a huge musical theater fan. I can't think about the civil rights movement without thinking of it through the lens of the photographers that were there and that captured so many images that today are the things that we associate with that fight against injustice. And more recently, in this fight for democracy, more recently, I haven't been able to think about our fight for democracy without the Pillars of Democracy series that you're going to hear about from Niki, because I got an opportunity to see them at the Capitol last year, and I And Nikki, I promise you, I don't remember a word that was said that day, but I'll never forget those pieces of art surrounding me in the Capitol that day. There's just something about activism and art that are meant to be together, and when they meld together, they matter so much. One of my favorite stories back in August 28th of 1963, on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, Dr. Martin Luther King was delivering a speech that today we all know very well as the I Have a Dream speech. And seated just a little bit behind him was a very well-known gospel singer known as the Queen of Gospel, Mahalia Jackson, and many of you probably recognize that name. And Dr. King's speech was scripted that day. And so he was reading through his script and giving a powerful speech like he always did. And there was a moment when he had a pause in the speech. And when he paused in in the speech, Mahalia Jackson yelled to him. She said, "Tell them about the dream, Martin." So it was one artist speaking to another artist, encouraging them to really dig into their artistic expression. It's at that moment that Dr. King moved away from his script. And what we all know from the I Have a Dream speech, the part that we all know so well, was not scripted. It just came out of him after Mahalia Jackson shouted that toward him. And so it was this one artist, encouraging another artist to dig into their artistic expression and create something that now every one of us know so deeply. More recently, in a protest against no-knock warrants, there was an artist in the Midwest who painted doors and would go around their community and just set up these doors with sayings and artistic expression on them to fight against no-knock warrants. We're in the midst of a fight against just the inhumane treatment of immigrants in our community. There was this beautiful piece of artwork that was set up in the southern part of our country that had ICE agents with nets surrounded by butterflies with the artistic expression and the words across the top saying that migration is natural. And there's something that art can do that words cannot do. And it's something that connects us in ways that nothing else really can. And it's a powerful thing, and it's a powerful language, and it speaks uniquely to all of us. So the words that you're hearing out of my mouth, because they're words of the English language, we're all going to connect with them in pretty much the same way. But when we look at a piece of art from Niki, or if we hear Jeremy lead a song, we can connect with that in a myriad of different ways. And one piece of art or one song can mean wildly different things to all of us, and they can connect with us in beautiful ways. I'll never forget, I've always had justice at the core of my heart, and I'll never forget, my parents were out of town once when I was a teenager. And, most teenage kids would say, well, that's a great time to start a party and invite all your friends over. But I thought it'd be a great time to sit with my emotions and watch the movie Schindler's List. And because I just wanted to connect with that story because I knew about it. And I'll never forget hearing the line from Itzhak Perlman playing the violin. And when I think about the struggle in World War II and everything that happened, that's the refrain that I hear in my head all the time because it connected so personally. But I think the most powerful thing, and then I'm going to pass it over to Niki, the most powerful thing about art in all of its contexts is that it's collaborative. It's meant to be shared. Art for the sake of one person doesn't even make sense. It shouldn't even register. It's meant to be shared. And that could be in the context of a choir or a congregation singing. We're seeing all of these beautiful protest singers all around the country, especially in Minneapolis, but we're seeing them even here in our state, which is amazing. So it can be the context that we're engaging with it that way, or it can be the context where Niki and I, who haven't met personally until this Zoom call, but we interacted around her art in a way where we never even met each other, but she created a piece of art that I got to collaborate with just by enjoying it. And so it has these beautiful representations, and the representation that we need more than anything right now is one of coming together and being collaborative. And when we face the struggles that we're faced with right now, oftentimes it's really difficult to put words to what we're feeling. And so I see art right now as the melodies and the visual representations of the things right now that all of us are feeling that we're struggling to describe in our own words. And with that in mind, I want to introduce our first speaker today, Niki Johnson. Niki is a Milwaukee-based artist, curator and executive director of Forward Art Initiative. Raised in New Mexico, Johnson has spent her adult life living across the United States, including 5 year stints in San Francisco, California, and Memphis, Tennessee. She received her BFA from the University of Memphis and her MFA degrees from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in studio art. And for the past decade, she has run her studio full time, exhibiting her art and curating local and national exhibitions. Her artwork is in several private and public collections, including the collection of Sarah M. and Michelle Vance Waddle, the collection of Ken and Melinda, I'm going to pronounce it wrong, Cry, Planned Parent of Wisconsin, Madison Central Public Library, and many others. And today we're excited for her to share about a piece that's directly connected to democracy. And so I want to pass it over and welcome to our webinar, Niki Johnson.
Wow, thank you so much, Matt. It is just such a pleasure to listen to each of you so far and to be a part of this today. Thank you, Rhonda, for reaching out to me and bringing me in. And also thank you for encouraging me to share my brand new booklet with you all today. This is a very exciting time. I'm about to head out on what appears to be turning into a bit of a national tour with Pillars of Democracy ahead of the midterm elections. So the booklet was created and has so far only been shared with tour partners and of course like friends and family. But today is the first day that I am sharing it with the public, and certainly the first time I've read it to the public. So I'm just going to bring some excerpts in. I timed myself to make sure that they fit within the time frame here and am honoring everybody's time today. So without further ado, I'm going to share a screen. And here we go. Okay. So the project is called, or the tour is called, Pillars of Democracy, Unite and Rise. Oh, here we go. Liberty rises at dawn in Milwaukee, Lake Michigan behind her, and the city's skyline woven across her robe, symbolizing the awakening of civic power in our urban centers. Liberty is represented by Lola, who immigrated to the US with her family 3 years before this project began. Lola is the youngest in her family, a talented illustrator, and a student at Marquette University, majoring in environmental engineering. Her ambition and creativity, paired with her experience of navigating a new country, reflect the dynamic possibilities of liberty in action. Justice stands in the light of midday at Lake Winnebago, her robe patterned with woodland violets, flanked by fields of wheat and corn, honoring the balance of labor, equity, and growth in our agricultural heartland. Justice is embodied by Becca, whose grandparents came to the US as migrant farm workers, eventually settling in Wisconsin to raise their family. Becca now works as a bartender and house painter, raising her young son with her fiancé. She's also passionate about advocating for girls with alopecia, offering confidence and solidarity drawn from her own experience. Her story speaks to both generational resilience and a deep personal commitment to justice and representation. Freedom, cloaked in fur, hovers at dusk above the deep waters of Lake Superior and surrounding northern forests, echoing the resilience and endurance of people and place. Freedom is represented by Anna, a recent high school graduate and a standout track and field athlete. Her strength, discipline, and ability to overcome setbacks made her a natural choice to embody this pillar. Forward glows at night on the shores of Lake Monona, draped in an American flag, encircled by native flora and fauna, guiding us into the future with care for both democracy and environment. Forward is embodied by Courtney, St. Francis High School's 2025 class valedictorian. Now attending Cornell University on a full scholarship, her determination and academic achievement reflect the forward momentum at the heart of American excellence. Pillars of Democracy is a large-scale series of 4 collage portraits envisioning Lady Liberty, justice, freedom, and forward progress as 4 first-time voters from Milwaukee. Grounded in Wisconsin's diverse landscapes at dawn, day, dusk, and night, the figures reflect the directional value of voting in guiding civic progress and underscore how national values are lived, protected, and renewed at the local level. Built over a 10-month period between the fall of 2024 and the summer of 2025, 8 Milwaukee artists and nearly 70 volunteers joined me in the studio to assemble the monumental artworks. A vibrant community took shape while working, creating lasting friendships and new regional connections. At its core, Pillars of Democracy illustrates that democracy is not abstract. It is built, sustained, and strengthened by each of us right where we live. It lives in the choices we make and the values we uphold: liberty, autonomy, equity, peace, truth, justice, freedom, expression, access, unity, and the determined to move ever forward. Collaged out of discarded stencil paper and leftover spray paint from the 2020 installation of Shepard Fairey's Voting Rights or Human Rights mural, formally inspired by Bertha Boyd's 1911 suffrage poster Votes for Women, this series unites over 100 years of voting rights art activism in both material and design. It foregrounds the central role of women in the democratic process, from early 20th century suffragists to first-time voters today, uniting generations of creative resistance. As a series, these works reflect the fundamental truth: democracy is not static. It is shaped by those who show up, speak out, and most importantly, vote. Voting is our inheritance and our promise, a means of shaping not only what we stand for, but where we've come from and who we dare to become. Pillars of Democracy serves to honor the enduring power of the vote and the way art advances movements of change. The portraits in Pillars of Democracy are made out of discarded stencil paper and leftover paint found in spent spray cans used during the 2020 installation of Shepard Fairey's Voting Rights or Human Rights mural in downtown Milwaukee. I was on site supporting the install team as a contributing artist to the project and a friend of the mural liaison group helping manage the install. It was there I noticed the bags hanging off the scaffolding filled with paper and debris. Instantly, I recognized the content of those bags held a residual energy and potential for new work. As the mural installation wrapped up, I asked if I could grab the bags and said that I would reach out if the right idea came to mind. 4 years later, the vision came to me. I shared sketches with Shepard, and he encouraged me to go for it. In the vision, I saw democracy embodied not in monuments or mottos, but as first-time voters. Justice, liberty, freedom, and forward progress are concepts historically personified as women in political symbolism worldwide. Figures draped in allegory, often distant and idealized. But what happens when we ground those ideals in real people, in our neighbors, in our community? By portraying 4 women from Milwaukee as living embodiments of Pillars of Democracy, the artworks could invite us to recognize those same values within ourselves, providing a bridge between these symbolic figures and the lived experiences of everyday women. This reflection clarifies that the future of our democracy begins here, in the communities around us, with the people we know. Central to the vision, these women needed to be first-time voters, holding the keys to our future. Their participation in the democratic process marks both a personal milestone and a collective step forward. To find women for this project, I reached out to my network of friends and soon met Lola, Becca, Anna, and Courtney. They were the first to respond to the call. Together, their portraits now create a modern-day allegory that serves as a powerful reminder. Our national values are built by real people at the local level every day. Pillars of Democracy also combines remnant materials from Shepard Fairey's Voting Rights or Human Rights mural within the visual framework of Bertha Boyd's suffrage poster, Votes for Women, bridging more than a century of voting rights art activism. This interweaving of past and present creates a layered dialogue that underscores an enduring truth. The fight for democracy continues, and its victories are cumulative, especially when the effort is collective. I sketched out each figure in front of diverse Wisconsin landscapes at different times of day, enrobed with traditional quilt patterns down their dresses. These design decisions shaped an allegory within each portrait to illustrate that our national values exist at a local level. Pillars of Democracy forms a compass rose when the figures are displayed following the path of the sun. Liberty is illuminated at sunrise to the east. Justice stands beneath the midday sun to the south. Freedom hovers backlit by the sun at dusk. Forward is grounded by the light of the moon to the north. Each figure features the portrait of a first-time voter, underscoring that voting is the action we all must take to navigate this democracy towards a better future. Milwaukee artists Nova Sarnecki, Celeste Contreras, Jill Sebastian, Frank Kordoff, Lois Bellefeld, Lizzie Lovis, Brandon Terez Sanchez, and Serena Waits contributed to this project. Nova created oil paintings of each figure's face and hands from photos I took of the 4 first-time voters. The portraits were then trimmed from their canvases and collaged into the larger mixed media artwork. Celeste incorporated stamp block prints to form the Milwaukee skyline, evoke fabric-like patterns, and create fur textures across the figures' robes. Jill generously provided her studio for the initial build-out in the first half of production. She brought dimension to the backgrounds, including the neighborhoods, forests, flora, and fields of agriculture encircling each figure. Brandon provided sketches for the figures' crowns, swords, shields, scales, and animals. Fran and I then turned those sketches into paper collage, with Fran taking the lead using her masterful scissor skills. Once the collage paper was ready, Brandon added line work, shading, and depth to each element. Lizzie contributed to the banners each figure holds, uniting 100 years of activist print. Serena came on board a few weeks before the project wrapped and laid out quilt patterns chosen for each dress. Lois and I teamed up to document the project, capturing photos and video to expand the visual record. As lead artist, my role was to design and build the series, bring on board an amazing team of Milwaukee artists, harmonize artistic contributions, and facilitate a generative workspace for artists and volunteers of all ages. Teams of volunteers helped me create the skies, celestial bodies, and lakes behind each figure. Together, we punched thousands of circles to make sequin strands. We cut and glued, taped, and laughed. We aided the artists however was needed, drawing paper templates, collaging paper for robes, adding density to areas by repeating their techniques, shifting color, and balancing form. Over 10 months between the fall of 2024 and the summer of 2025, nearly 70 volunteers from the League of Women Voters, the Persisters, Girl Scouts, as well as friends old and new came to the studio to build art in solidarity. At every stage, this project was built by community. The layered contributions of artists, activists, students, neighbors, new voters, and poll workers brought this project greater depth and momentum. I'm truly grateful to all who trusted and believed in the process and helped carry it forward. So the tour is now bringing the large-scale artworks and limited edition prints to cities across the nation with the goal of inviting audiences to engage with the artwork. Hear my in-depth artist talk covering the creation of the series and participate in workshops exploring the values that sustain a vibrant democracy. The original artworks, which can be exhibited either wall hanging or freestanding, serve as bold visual statements of the nation's core principles and highlight the importance of voting as a meaningful act of citizenship. Aligned with the League of Women Voters National Unite and Rise campaign's goal of mobilizing 8.5 million people to protect U.S. democracy against rising authoritarianism and anti-democratic actions, this project provides a clear roadmap for civic engagement, demonstrating how organizations, public institutions, and supporters of democracy can partner with local artists to activate communities. And I'm going to leave you guys with these last two images of what it looked like when Pillars of Democracy was installed inside of the Capitol, the Wisconsin State Capitol Rotunda, in celebration of the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act last summer. Thank you all so much. I hope you enjoyed the quick look through the book. There is more, and I am just so excited to be able to steward this project forward and be a helpful part, hopefully, of this movement. Rhonda,
Yeah.
hand it out to you.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Niki. That it's just the most it's such an inspiring presentation, and the art is so fabulous. And to hear the stories behind it, especially the stories of the women, the four women who represent your figures, is amazing. So, Nick, I have to say that when I saw the installation, I was with some friends of mine, and I got a lot of credit when I said, "Oh yeah, I know the artist." So it made me look like I was really in the in crowd there. So, Nikki, thanks so much. Nikki, I met Nikki way back when, long before this project started, when she was at our initial 100 Women on the Move meeting, along with Niki Johnson, who's here on the call, and she very graciously designed some buttons for us and helped us really to move forward in 100 Women. So we're thrilled to help you and move this Pillars of Democracy, even push the needle just a little bit more. Before we move on, I would be remiss if I did not introduce everyone to our newest staff member at WIVEC, and this is Jill Olson. She's our communications coordinator. You'll notice that things are going to start looking a lot better and a lot more professional because Jill is the one handling all of that. So thank you so much, and she might even be teaching me a few tricks as well. Jill is a seasoned nonprofit professional with more than 20 years of experience in higher education, where she is focused on program development, communications, and event management. She has spent her career engaged in nonpartisan civic engagement, interfaith programs, and social justice education. Through all of her work, Jill has loved engaging with community members from faith traditions and worldviews to find the common threads that connect us. I can attest to that because I met Jill up in Green Bay when we were doing an event there, and she was just always so helpful, and I could not have pulled off that event without Jill and her amazing help up in Green Bay. She's also a textile artist who loves giving new life to old materials, finding creativity and upcycling. So you can see that Jill has a little bit in common with Nikki as well. So fabulous to have both of you on this call here. And lastly, it is such a pleasure of mine for the first time to officially introduce Hazan Jeremy Stein. I'm going to read his bio and then add a little bit of my own perspective as well. So Hazan Stein, welcome to our WIVEC webinar. Hazan Jeremy Stein joined Congregation Beth Israel near Tamid in July of 2009 as their cantor. He is a native of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and studied flute and arranging at the Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. After graduating, he toured with his jazz rock band, Flutopia. In addition to performing with his band, Hazan Stein played on film scores, composed radio jingles, and performed at countless Jewish weddings. And I have had the pleasure of seeing you at once, maybe twice, performing with Jewish Rock Radio, one of my favorite performances when I go back into Chicago to see them. So in 2009, Hazan Stein graduated from the H.L. Miller Cantorial School and College of Jewish Music at the Jewish Theological Seminary, While in cantorial school, Hazan Stein combined his passion for jazz, folk, and pop with his love of jazz music, composing melodies rooted in Jewish musical traditions with a modern flair. And again, I have heard this in person, and it's absolutely fantastic. Hazan Stein was awarded the Max and Sol Feld Prize in composition for 2 consecutive years. His performances have taken Hazan to stages such as Carnegie Hall and the original House of Blues in Boston. He has performed many times with the Zamir Choral Foundation, sharing the stage with perennial Jewish performers Theodore Beichel and Debbie Friedman. Hazan Stein is a passionate, dedicated teacher and enjoys working with congregants of all ages. Hazan Stein is a regular volunteer at the Milwaukee Jewish Home and Care Center, visiting and serenading Milwaukee seniors with classics from Israel, Yiddish theater, and the Great American Songbook. I saw you nodding when Matt was talking about how seniors can connect to music. And Hazan Stein lives with his wife Amanda, whom we met on his first full day in Milwaukee, and they are the proud parents of 3 children. Their oldest just had her bat mitzvah, and I was so blessed to attend. I just want to say thank you to Hazan Stein, not just for coming on today, but for being such a tremendous supporter, not just of WIVEC and voting rights, but also our community in Milwaukee and Tikkun Ha-Ir. I think Hazan Stein, I met you my second day at work at Tikkun Ha-Ir, and it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and your family and seeing all the work you do for so many of us in Milwaukee and throughout Wisconsin. And thank you so much for coming on, for always being there when I ask something of you. I have to say, whenever I ask a favor of anyone, Hazan always says yes, and if he says no, he tells me why. So thanks so much. Hazan Stein, we are going to give you an opportunity to present. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Rhonda. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, an honor to present. And yes, Matt, you are correct. There's few things more painful for a shy person than to hear their bio read out loud to a group of people. But thank you. There are many opportunities for using music. There are many purposes for music, and there are no shortage of opportunities to use music to support messages and social action, social justice. And Jill just shared in the comments a link. A few years ago, I performed with the local jazz group, and we did a concert, Jazz Impressions of Fiddler on the Roof of our synagogue, and we recorded it, and you can hear the music there. And it was to raise money for our social action committee at our synagogue, who at the time was focusing on housing justice. And it was a way to highlight the themes of Fiddler on the Roof that take place in a time and place where Jews were not empowered, certainly did not have home and land ownership rights. And now today, thank goodness, even with all the struggles we may face, Jews are much more empowered, and it's a responsibility to use that empowerment to speak out for others who are not underrepresented or underempowered. And this album speaks to that. I invite you all to check it out. I'm going to share with you something different, though. This is a song called Olam Chesed Yibaneh, and the words come from Psalm 89. I'm going to share the words. In the context of the psalm, the psalmist says Olam Chesed Yibaneh, speaking to God that in eternal loving kindness will be established. And that would be the literal understanding of it. A contemporary rabbi, Rabbi Menachem Creditor, understands. You could also understand these words as a world of loving kindness, or a world of love will be established, will be built. And while the psalmist is speaking directly to God, grammatically you could understand this as a little bit ambiguous, that a world of loving kindness will be established. Established by whom? Rabbi Creditor says that this is a partnership. God says, I will build this world from love, and you must build this world from love. It goes both ways. And then he says, if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. So this never-ending cycle. God builds this world of love, from love. We all have the capacity to love and love one another, show loving kindness to one another, and to build this world from love. And if we do our part, God will respond with God's part. Now, in the Jewish tradition, there are dozens and dozens of names for God, and that's just within the Jewish tradition. In an interfaith dialogue, we will have countless names for God describing the infinite aspects of God. And when I say the word God, we can fill in the word for the divine that each one of us relates to at any given moment, but specifically in the context of God building this world with love and loving kindness and our responsibility to act in kind. While it's Zoom has not figured out how to enable a group sing-along, well, even though muted, I invite everybody to sing along. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Try that. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. I will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. And you must build this world from love, ya la 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 la. And if we build this world from love, ya la 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 la, then God will build this world from love, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. I will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. This world from love, ya la 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 la. And if we build this world from love, ya la 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 la, then God will build this world from love, ya la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la 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 la. Olam chesed yibaneh, la la la. May we all recognize the love and loving kindness with which this world was built. May we all recognize our capacity for love and for sharing love, and to recognize that capacity in one another and build this world with love, from the love that God built it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hazan. That's really a beautiful, one of my favorite songs. And we didn't even talk before the Zoom about what you're going to sing. I've heard that sung in so many contexts, and oftentimes, unfortunately, I've heard it sung in a context where something has been broken in our community, and we need some inspiration to rebuild our community, to rebuild our world with love. So thanks so much for sharing that in a capacity where we're being more proactive than reactive, which is fabulous. So thank you so much. It is 12:50, and we want to open up if anyone has questions for our artists or any sort of reflection that you'd like to share with all of us. I would ask that you try to keep it as C3 nonpartisan as possible, of course, because that is what we're all about everyone having the right to their agency, of course. But if there's something you'd like to share, whether you don't have to come back on screen, or any questions you have for our artists, we have time. We have a few minutes before our calls to action. I know there's one question for Niki out there, which is, and it's sort of my question too. Oh, here he goes. Print asks, is there a link to ordering the booklet? Print copies will be available the next 2 weeks and then you have your link there. And we'll put that in the email, Niki.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just figured I was here and I was easy enough to just kind of drop that information in.
Are there any questions? Whether you want to just pop your question in the chat or feel free to come off mute. As my principal used to say, the doors are closing, giving people a couple extra minutes. So anyway, thank you so much. I think that these presentations were fabulous and leave us all hoping to find it within ourselves to give more. I wrote in an email yesterday, and I have written this more times than I wish I had to, which is these are difficult and challenging times, and retreating into the darkness of our homes is the opposite of what we need to do. And all of you are on this call because you're willing to step out. You're willing to take that step to see what you can do, what more you can do. And obviously we had a lot of people sign up. We're going to put this on in our newsletter and our website. But we know that there's more people out there who want to get engaged. And many of you are veterans of WIVEC activities and know that we have so much going on. This webinar, we have opportunities throughout the state, both in person and online, but we can't reach out to everyone in Wisconsin. We're a little diverse in where we're located, but of course it's a big state, and we know that you all have tremendous networks, and we want to thank you for sharing the WIVEC work that we do within your networks. And we also want to promote this idea of moving forward, of pursuing peace and truth, of enabling everyone to feel the freedom that perhaps we're feeling in this moment, and to spread equity throughout the state. All of the principles that are part of the pillars of justice and are part of the songs that we sing in whatever traditional backgrounds, in whatever faith traditions we have. So one call to action we have is a postcard project that is very unlike previous postcards. We were able to work with Niki to produce postcards of each one of her pillars of democracy. I'm just going to hold it up right here. We have one of each of these. And unlike most of our postcards, there's no text on the back. And there's no list of who you need to send the postcard to. Instead, we ask you to share these postcards with your friends, with your family, with your network members, your fellow congregants, and share it. Perhaps write a note, perhaps write a message, even put it in the mail or hand deliver it, and ask them to become involved. Ask them to pursue any of these words on these cards, any of these words that promote justice, that promote democracy. We're we've been beneficiaries of generous grants. So this is something that we can give to all of you. We're not asking for payment. If you'd like to make a donation in recognition of these, that's fine. We're happy to mail them to you. You can ask for 10, you can ask for 50. Matt, Jill, and I haven't exactly spoken about what happens if people ask for hundreds, because Niki, what did we order? 800 postcards?
Was it?
I think it was
No,
800.
I think it was like 2,000.
Was it
I think
2000? Oh, I
we
think
had
you're right.
500 of each.
You're right. You're right. You're
Okay.
right. I'm not sure where I hit 800. So 2000, it's the box is very heavy in my house. And as I always say, I do not need 2000 postcards sitting in my office. They are supposed to go out. So let us know how many you'd like, and we'd be happy to either hand deliver them to you if you are in our area or mail them out. It's such a beautiful piece of art. Every person in Wisconsin should have this sitting on their desk. I am fortunate enough to have one of Niki's posters hanging in my office. I look at it probably more than I look at my family members. Please don't hesitate to take a moment, fill out that Google form, and take some of these postcards, keep them for yourselves, keep a few of them for yourselves, and share them with other people who you think might need a little shot of hope, of liberty, of freedom in their lives. We'll be happy to send them to you. And of course, there's information about WIVEC and Niki's studios on the cards, so people will know where they came from. That's our first call to action. My second call to action is to sign up for our newsletter if you haven't already. Some of you are part of the Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice newsletter. Some of you are just friends and family members of ours. Sign up for the newsletter. Even more so, ask your friends to sign up for this newsletter as well. You'll hear about everything happening with WIVEC and with some of our partner organizations. One thing that is happening with WIVEC, I'm going to put it in the chat, is something called Faith 250 in Milwaukee and in Appleton. This is a group of, this is an interfaith cohort that looks at art in the written form. And that's the art that I manage the best in my own life, which is the written art form. We're looking at 4 pieces of what we call American scripture, 4 pieces of art, of poetry, of essay, of speech that forms what we believe to be the background of American democracy. We are bringing these opportunities to the people of Milwaukee in person, and to anyone across the state can join our Appleton crew because it is online. Please look for information about Faith 250. Come together in the spirit of building bridges, come together in the spirit of understanding everyone's faith and how their faith brings them to American democracy. And together we can build relationships as we go from our nation's 250th birthday, this July 4th, into a very important election season. We're hoping to build relationships and trust so that we can all come together and make sure that every eligible voter in Wisconsin, every eligible voter in the United States feels that their voice is important and needs to be heard through the ballots. So thank you so much for listening about the postcards, about Faith 250, signing up for a newsletter. As always, thanks so much to Matt and to Jill for helping to make this a fabulous webinar. And a tremendous thank you to Niki and Hazan Stein, to Jeremy, 2 people who I've known for a short time, who've become allies, partners, friends. I'm blessed to know you. We're all blessed to have such rich artists in our midst. And thank you for sharing your art with us. So I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. If you are in the midst of snow, please stay safe and make sure the roads are safe when you're traveling. Those of us lucky enough to be in sections that are plowed, or even in the South, will stay safe too. Take care, everyone.